Children, we will continue with the characteristics, next feature of the fixed exchange rate system. The next feature of the fixed exchange rate system is that in this system, each and every country keeps the value of a currency in terms of external standard. What do you mean by external standard? External standard in the sense each country will be keeping the value of the currency in the form of gold, silver, precious metals or any other country's currency. When I give the example of two systems, this particular concept will be very clear to you. That is just an example that I can give you is one currency is exchanged in the terms of gold. Likewise, it can be exchanged in the terms of precious metals, a particular country's currency. Now to differentiate these two, there are two examples for you. The first example, now you all know that this kind of a system, I mentioned this in the previous class, this particular system was followed in the olden days. It is not prevalent now. Now the one which I told you, that is each country will keep its currency in terms of some external value in the form of gold, precious stones, etc. What do you mean by that? Now let us take the example which was existed in the period between 1870 to 1914. I told you particularly this fixed exchange rate system existed in the olden days. Now to highlight this particular feature, the first example which I can give you is a period between 1870 to 1914. In this period, the exchange rates of all countries were fixed according to the gold standard. Gold standard. So whenever the gold standard is explained here, what has to come to your mind? External value, in the form of external value, which we have already written here in the form of external standard. That is what is explained here. Now what is the example for that? So in 1870 to 1914, the exchange rates of all countries were fixed according to the gold standard. That means 1 pound sterling is equal to 5 grams of gold. That means 1 pound sterling can be exchanged for 5 grams of gold. Likewise, $1 is equal to 2 grams of gold. So 1 pound sterling can be exchanged for 5 grams of gold and $1 can be exchanged for 2 grams of gold. So what is the external standard here? 2 grams of gold. It can be maintained in the form of precious metals, stones, gold or a particular currency of or a unique currency of one particular country. So this is the case of gold. So external value here is gold. So 1 pound sterling is equal to 5 grams of gold and $1 is equal to 2 grams of gold. Now this is gold standard system. So this system is known as the gold standard system. This system is known as the gold standard system. So the system which prevailed in the year 1870 to 1914 was the gold standard system. Gold standard system. Now similarly, we have the next system, that is which was followed from 1944 to 1971, which is known as the Bretton Woods standard system. The Bretton Woods standard system, let us see how it was done. Here under this Bretton Woods system, the gold was replaced by US dollar as the core system. US dollar as the core system. I will just show you the last slide, that is in this system, in the fixed exchange rate system, each and every country keeps the value of a currency in terms of external standard. External standard can be in the form of gold, silver, precious metals. That is already over, the gold standard system. Just now what I have explained, or any other country's currency, or any other country's currency. That is what we are going to explain now, Bretton Woods system. So this one, external value in the form of gold, silver or precious metals that belongs to gold standard, which I have already explained. Now, any other country's currency that is with related to Bretton Woods, which I am going to explain now. According to Bretton Woods standard, the gold was replaced by US dollar. Gold standard, the previous system gold standard was replaced by US dollar as the core for the system. So, one particular country's currency will be taken as the core currency for the exchange process of the whole countries in the world. So, all the currencies were pegged to US dollar at a fixed exchange rate. So, it was thus tied up, it was thus pegged to US dollar at a fixed exchange rate. So, you all know that after the First World War, after the World Wars, USA, USSR, all these countries emerged as a supernatural powers. So, they have the dominancy over other countries in the world. So, this particular country's currency was considered as the core of the system. So, here gold was replaced by US dollar as the core of the currency system. So, all the currencies of other countries were pegged to US dollar during the exchange process. During the foreign exchange, all the currencies of other countries were pegged to one particular country's currency, that is US dollar, as a fixed exchange rate. That system is known as Bretton Woods standard. So, two types were Bretton Woods and gold standard. Now, so here under this Bretton Woods system, the major role played was International Monetary Fund, because USA, the currency which was followed was, all currencies were pegged to US dollar. So, as it was pegged to US dollar as a core currency, the major role played here was International Monetary Fund for the transaction process. So, International Monetary Fund emerged as a major body during this particular time period. Now, so when the value of currency, now we will see the difference between the Bretton Woods as well as the gold standard. When the value of a currency is tied to the value of another currency, it is called the pegging system. That means, as per the Bretton Woods, US dollar was considered as the core currency, which was pegged up. Therefore, when the value of a currency is tied during the exchange process, when the value of a currency is tied to the value of another currency, it is called the pegging rate system, which can be related to Bretton Woods. Now, when the value of a currency is fixed in terms of another currency or gold, here another currency means what? When one country is exchanging with the another country, the currency of another country is taken into consideration. There, a uniform currency of a particular country is not taken into consideration. So, here when the value of a currency is fixed in terms of another currency, here US dollar is not specific. The currency of the opposite countries can be accepted, or in the form of gold. Just as I told you, 1 pound sterling is equal to 5 grams of gold, $1 is equal to 2 grams of gold. If that is the situation, in this cases we can say it is called parity value of currency. That is called parity value of currency. So, the difference between these two, when the value of a currency is tied to the value of another currency, it is called the pegging system. So, one core currency will be there, which can be related to the Bretton Woods, which I explained now. And if the value of a currency is fixed in terms of any other currency or in the form of a gold, it is known as the parity value of currency. So, these are the characteristics or the features of fixed exchange rate system. Now, we will move on to the merits of fixed exchange rate system. Now in the fixed exchange rate system, you know the exchange rate is fixed by the government. So government has to maintain the huge reserves of the foreign exchange because it is the only party which is involved in the system. So keep that in mind when you think about the merits of fixed exchange rate system. Now the first merit of the fixed exchange rate system is that it ensures stability in the exchange rate. What is the merit of the stability in the foreign exchange rate? If there is a stability in the foreign exchange rate, it means that the foreign exchange rate will be existing for a fixed rate for a particular period of time. So there will not be any uncertainty in the market. Everybody knows that it will be fixed for a particular period of time, which is fixed by the government. So there is no uncertainty in the market, whether it will rise or fall or like that. Now the next one is, therefore, as there is no uncertainty, it promotes trade in the faster rate. So the first point can be connected to the second point. As there is no uncertainty in the market, it promotes the trade in the faster rate. Trade in the sense, the trade between the countries, export and import, will move faster rate because there is no uncertainty regarding the exchange rate in the market. Therefore, it promotes the trade in a faster rate. So that is the first merit of fixed exchange rate system. Now we will move on to the second merit of fixed exchange rate system, that is, it promotes international trade. How it promotes international trade? If the international trade has to happen, there should be a confidence in the system that the exchange rate will not be will not be rising or falling very fast at a faster rate. It will be maintained for a particular rate for a certain period of time. So such confidence is there in a fixed exchange rate system. Therefore, it gives confidence to the people that the existing rate will continue for a particular period of time. So people need not, there is no problem with regard to the trade. They are so confident that the existing rate will continue. So it ensures a smooth flow of foreign trade. So almost the first 2 points are related to each other, but in two headings you can write. It promotes the international trade. The other one is it helps for the smooth flow of the foreign trade. As it helps for the smooth flow of the foreign trade will take place globally. That is the second point, it promotes international trade. So that is the second merit of the fixed exchange rate system. So people have a confidence that the exchange rate will be fixed for a particular period of time. Therefore, the trade flows smoothly. So international trade happens. Next one is, it prevents speculative activities. What is meant by the speculative activities? When do the people move to such speculative activities? What is meant by the speculation? Trying to buy or invest in the assets in the stock market or in the real estate with an expectation that they can earn more in the future. That is known as speculation. Okay. So such speculation is not there in the fixed exchange rate. Why? Because people already know that the exchange rate is fixed for a particular period of time. It is not going to vary. Therefore, these kind of speculative activities are not there in the market because they already know that the fixed exchange rate is fixed for a particular time period. Therefore, such kind of speculation is not there in the market. If it was rising and falling, definitely there will be speculative activities. People could invest or buy the foreign exchange and with an expectation that more can be earned in the future. So, in the fixed exchange rate, as the exchange rate is fixed, there is no speculative activities. Next one is, it promotes international investment. Why international investment? All these points are related to each other, but it is explained in a different headings. What does it mean? Lender and the borrower. Who is a lender and the borrower? The person who gives the foreign exchange and the person who buys the foreign exchange. You know who all are the authorized dealers of buying and selling of foreign exchange in the foreign exchange market. You have already learned it. Here, the lender and the borrower is ready to buy and sell long-term investment. Why? Because they know that exchange rate will be fixed for a particular period. Therefore, they need not get tensed that there will be wide variation in the foreign exchange. So, that is the next merit. It promotes international investment. Now, all these are the merits. What are the merits? Let us recollect. It promotes international trade. It gives confidence to the people. No speculative activities. It promotes international investment. It always smoothens the flow of trade. Faster flow of trade can happen. So, these are the merits of fixed exchange rate system. Just as the merits, it has got some demerits also. Let us see what are those demerits. The first demerit is huge foreign exchange reserves are to be maintained by the government. As you all know, government is the only body which is involved in this fixed exchange rate system. So, in the beginning when I explained the characteristics of fixed exchange rate system, I told you that government has to maintain a large reserves of foreign exchange for this process because government is fixing the foreign exchange rate. Therefore, government has the sole responsibility and authority. Government has to find out a solution for the problem also. So, it has the full responsibility of maintaining the huge reserves of the foreign exchange. In some cases, government may find problem to do the work alone. So, that is considered as one of the demerit of the fixed exchange rate system. Now, we will move on to the next demerit of fixed exchange rate system. What is the next demerit? Difficulty in fixing the exchange rate. Here, who is fixing the exchange rate? Government is fixing the exchange rate. Sometimes, that is what I told you just now, government finds it very difficult to fix the exchange rate. Now, let us see what is the difficulty. If the exchange rate is fixed below the market level, there will be a deficit in the balance of payment. So, if the exchange rate is fixed by the government, for example, if the exchange rate which is fixed by the government, if it happens to be below the market value, it will definitely cause for a deficit in the balance of payment. How? What is deficit in the balance of payment? Where export is less than import. Why export is less than import? Because the country who is exporting may not be interested to increase its export. Therefore, export will be less than import. Now, we will go to the next demerit, that is exchange rates cannot be permanently fixed in certain cases. In some cases, exchange rates cannot be permanently fixed. For example, always fluctuations are happening in the prices of commodities all around the world. In such cases, government finds it very difficult to fix the exchange rate. So, in that cases, what will happen? This will seriously affect the balance of payment. Either it can go for a surplus or more of a deficit. So, in some cases, always the price of the commodities in the economy as a whole will keep on changing. At the time, the government will find it very difficult to fix a fixed exchange rate. Therefore, that can adversely affect the balance of payment. So, the demerits are, point number 1, the huge foreign exchange reserves are to be maintained by the government. Point number 2, the exchange rate has to be fixed according to the market level. If it is less below the market level or if it is more than the market level, it can cause disequilibrium in the balance of payment. And finally, some cases exchange rates cannot be permanently fixed. So, that is all about the merits and demerits of fixed exchange rate system.